My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course. Must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45-minute program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
Hello and welcome to On Record on 102.1 FM High Impact. I am Olumide Shokoya, and on the program we discuss actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview. The program also encapsulates personalities and institutions that make decisions that affect the lives of people one way or the other. And then we also avail you, our listener, the opportunity of calling into the program and ask questions from our guest on the topic of discussion. Once again, welcome to On Record, where every word matters. At the recent Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu, the approval of a 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget for the 2023 was announced by Atiku Bagudu, that's the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning. Now, this budget aims to address critical national concerns, including significant allocations such as security and defense. Now, a sum of 605 billion naira has been allocated to sustain and strengthen national defense capabilities. Now, agricultural production allocation of 200 billion naira is designated to support agricultural production. In wage awards, 210 billion naira is allotted for recent wage awards granted to Nigerian workers. Cash transfers, a significant portion of 400 billion naira is earmarked for cash transfers to assist vulnerable and poor Nigerians for the period between October and November. The supplementary budget allocates 100 billion naira for the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) and 18 billion naira for the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), specifically designated for the November 2023 governorship elections in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa states. Moreover, there are specific allocations for social welfare initiatives, including 5.5 billion naira for student loans and 200 billion naira for capital supplementation. Notably, in a breakdown of the proposed allocation, the budget includes significant expenditures, with 2.9 billion naira set for sport utility vehicles (SUVs) for Presidential Villa and an additional 2.9 billion naira earmarked for replacing vehicles within the government's pool. Now, furthermore, a substantial allocation of 4 billion naira is intended for the construction of an office complex in Aso Rock, while 3 billion naira is dedicated to renovating the vice presidential official residence in Lagos. The hefty sum allocated for vehicle procurement have raised public concern, particularly in light of recent protests against the National Assembly's decision to acquire 75 billion naira worth of vehicles. These demonstrations, led by young activists in Lagos and Abuja, expressed dissatisfaction with such expenditure in the midst of challenging economic climate. Now, the economic scenario in Nigeria has been further complicated by the tripling of petrol prices post the termination of the costly fuel subsidy program. Additionally, the exchange rate has plunged to a record low after the Central Bank of Nigeria allowed the currency to weaken, exacerbating the cost of living crisis in the country. Now, while addressing the supplementary budget, Dave Umahi, that's the Minister of Works, also disclosed approvals for the initial phase of the proposed coastal road from Lagos to Calabar, Cross River State. Our topic for today is Nigeria's supplementary budget. We'll be looking at the breakdown and, of course, the socio-economic implications. We'll take a breather now, and when we return, we'll begin the conversation. Stay tuned.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700-1021-1021. WhatsApp 0907-224-5018.
Put a touch of class and finesse on your brand by advertising with us at High Impact 1021 FM. For more information, call
0706 393 5694, 0915 958 1881, or 0902 745 3931.
Follow us on our social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM. Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course. Must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45 minutes program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700-1021-1021. WhatsApp 0907-224-5018.
Welcome back to On Record, where every word matters on High Impact 102.1 FM. Our topic for today is Nigeria's supplementary budget, the breakdown, and of course the socio-economic implications. And our guest this morning is Ayo Emakiome. Good morning, Mr. Ayo Emakiome. Welcome to On Record.
Good morning, Krumali, right?
Olumide Shokoya-san.
Okay, Olumide, how are you? Good morning.
I'm fine. Thank you very much for sparing time. All right, we will be looking at the supplementary budget. Recently, a 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget for the 2023 was approved by the National Assembly. Now, let's take a holistic look at the budget. How do the allocations in the proposed supplementary budget align with the government's current economic policy? That's both long-term development goals.
Okay. Well, the budget is a budget for 2.17 trillion naira.
Yes.
And if you look at it, the supplementary budget is addressing the immediate challenges we are facing, and then, yes, in line with the long-term supplementary goals of the Tinubu administration. For example, I think about 25% or so goes to security. So police is getting part of it. such that they are getting new equipment, which includes helicopters. Ministry of Defense is getting DSS, and all the key security agencies are getting funding. Then, still along with that, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is getting a large chunk of the money, over 100 billion, and then which is for food security and ensuring that there's food available. Also, if you look at it, Ministry of Housing is also getting, and what do you call it now? Ministry of Works is also getting. All this is to ensure that the infrastructure challenges are immediately the low-hanging fruits are immediately addressed, so that there is some level of easing of the pressure. One, on infrastructure; two, on the scarcity of food; three, security issues are quickly addressed to the best possible situation on ground presently.
Okay.
So if you look at the supplementary budget, yes, it's in line with the Tinubu administration, and they didn't wait, showing that how urgent it is, because these are things in some governments they might decide to wait and add it to the 2024 budget. But because of the urgency they placed on it, they didn't wait. They decided to come up with a supplementary budget and address this challenge immediately.
All right, thank you very much. Now, looking at the macroeconomic effects, now considering the recent economic challenges, like inflation, currency devaluation, the rising fuel prices, now how might these budget allocations impact Nigeria's GDP growth, inflation rates, and currency stability?
Now the impact is number one, if there is increase or improvement in the security in the country. The key area, like the food basket states, like Benue and Co., they have not been going to the farm because of the challenge with security of going to the farm. And then some, I haven't confirmed recently, but I know before now, earlier in the year, they pay taxes to some of these terrorists to be able to go to the farm.
Yes.
So if you look at these situations, that means to some extent, if security is addressed immediately, then people will be able to go to the farm, and because the fear has been there will be serious scarcity of food from second quarter next year. And the little available will be very expensive. But if they can now go to the farm, then that means it will only be around that second quarter next year that will have this challenge. Because, for a lot of our staples, the cycle is every quarter. So automatically by the third quarter, the food challenge would have been taken care of. But if they don't address it now, it might run throughout the year, which is the food challenge a bit. And why? Security. Then the Ministry of Agri and Food Security too is getting allocation.
Yes.
And based on their allocation, they will be addressing some key issues too in terms of food security. And so the issue with the common man not having access to affordable food would have been addressed quickly from this supplementary budget in the two areas of agriculture and security. And I think that's not enough. One of the other major challenges we have, in fact, a recent study shows that 49% of food produced in the rural areas does not get to the urban areas where they are needed. So why? Because one of the reasons I was given is poor road infrastructure, which is the only available means. But now they are addressing it in this supplementary budget. If you see the breakdown, a lot of roads from the north all the way to the west to the east are quickly being fixed so that movement is eased. And I think that's not enough. Part of the breakdown of the Federal Capital Territory, the allocation to Federal Capital Territory, that's about 100 billion, is to fix the rail. That's to immediately kickstart and fix the rail to be able to move goods in and around Abuja, and then the coastal roads, the super highway, as it was called, that's the road from Abuja to Lagos, which is another route of moving goods, is also going to be worked on. So the government is taking serious steps to ensure that, in line with its direction, all these immediate and urgent issues are attended to. And so also, just as the government too doesn't want to let go of the challenges of the common man, I'm sure we've noticed so far with how both the government and our senators are going. Also, they are taking care of themselves by ensuring that the vehicles that we're moving them around are also purchased, both for the house of the president and also for the house of the first lady, the office of the first lady. So everything about the government is represented in this supplementary budget.
All right, thank you very much. Now, looking at the prioritization of the budget, if you will notice that some certain sectors and initiatives received larger allocations. So what criteria were employed in the allocation of funds within the supplementary budget? And if you look at the budget for the defense, it gulped about 605 billion naira, and some other sectors like the agricultural production gulped about 200 billion naira. Also, wage award also gulped about 210 billion naira. I think then cash transfers gulped about 400 billion naira. Now, so what criteria were employed in the allocation of these funds, and why certain sectors and initiatives received larger allocations compared to others?
Well, it's still in line with what I said earlier, that what government looked at, because they didn't just come up with this budget. There was a lot of consultations as far what is it that you need that cannot wait till 2024. How urgent is it and how pressing? And also, if you look at the breakdown, they never left out the issue of the national character. That is, every region is taken care of. So in line with this, based on how it was prepared by the budget office, you will see that the key issues, like I said, number one, which is the large chunk, about 30% or so of the budget, is security. And then having taken care of that, the next thing is in line with the palliative, because, for example, Tinubu has commissioned and is planning to bring in a lot of CNG buses. Yes. What kind of roads will they be moving on? Are they roads that are actually motorable? So, Ministry of Works and all the various rehabilitation projects for roads are being addressed as urgent. That's why it's in the supplementary budget and not in the 2024 budget. And so all those are being addressed. And then the same thing, there are issues with food. Food availability is key for everybody, not just the common man. And so government is putting it as an emergency and urgent, as they say, a matter of urgent and national issue. And so based on that, it's also in the supplementary budget so that those key issues are addressed immediately and not wait till 2024.
All right, thank you very much for that question. Now, considering this, the amount that has been allocated for this supplementary budget, not forgetting our debt profile, because we must always remind ourselves of our debt profile. Now, our debt profile stands in the past 5 months stands at 20.6 trillion naira. How will we be able to navigate with this debt profile, considering that we still have a 2024 budget still coming up?
20.6 trillion.
Yes, sir.
Federal government debt.
That's according to the DMO.
The federal government debt is about 57 point something trillion, about 57 trillion. Then the country's debt is about 87 trillion.
87 trillion as of June 30, yes.
Yes, so 20.6, I think you are mixing it up, because I think that is just one.
Beg your pardon. It increased by 20.6 trillion naira. Beg your pardon.
So our debt is about that 87 trillion.
0.4 trillion naira. Yes.
Gone up. Yes. So now on this budget, the supplementary budget, there was nothing said about borrowing.
Okay.
Yes. But yes, part of it will come from that sourcing for the fund.
Yes.
Will come from various borrowings. But I know for this amount, 2.1 trillion, they already have some loans that have been approved that are above this amount, like the is it World Bank loan now or yes, they're not drawn down on it. The government has not drawn down those monies. So the best of my knowledge, that is where these sums will be coming from. And also, now excise duties and the customs duties have gone up.
Yes.
This year, not next year. So that's an increase in IGR.
Yes.
Which the government will be using to fund this kind of project.
Okay. All right. Let's look at job creation and economic growth. Now, are these allocations directed towards any job creation and stimulating economic growth, especially in light of recent economic challenges and public concerns over spending priorities?
Job creation, from looking at the supplementary budget, for the contract that will be executed, especially all those road and agricultural contracts, there will be a lot of employment because the construction works will be done by private entities, and for them to carry them out, they will need to hire additional staff. But when you look at the budget, it is not the 2023 supplementary budget that will be addressing that. It is the 2024 budget that will more be addressing the issue of job creation.
Okay.
Now, what they are doing in this 2023 budget is to ensure that there is balance and there is movement in the system. And so that's what is addressing majorly. Yes, with all these monies coming out, jobs will be created. But my challenge is over 60% of the items I see here in this budget are items that will be imported. And so they are not creating jobs. A lot of jobs are being lost because those things being imported are things that other countries will be creating jobs in other countries, not in our countries. And so these are things I expect them to address so that many of these things can be done here. For example, the vehicles, we have local manufacturing, even car assembly plants here in Nigeria. So if they were interested in job creation, those are the, those are the companies they should be giving these vehicles to bring, not importing these vehicles. But sadly, the government is importing these vehicles. So for the fact that they are importing it, they are not interested in creating jobs from this budget. And then when you look at the ammunitions, a lot of the security equipment are also going to be imported. I know the few are locally made now, but from what I'm seeing in the budget, they are being bought at the imported prices. So based on that too, it is not addressing job creation. That's the long and short of this.
All right. Before we take a break, let's look at sustainability measures. Now, are these provisions within the supplementary budget aimed at mitigating the adverse effect of recent economic fluctuations, on the environment, that's social stability, and of course, long-term economic sustainability?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
All right, okay, let me think again. I said, are there provisions within the supplementary budget aimed at mitigating the adverse effect of recent economic fluctuations on the environment, social stability, and long-term economic stability?
Well, what we are looking at is the budget in line with the medium-term economic framework? I will say yes.
Okay.
That is, it's in line with the current plans of the government, because that is why, they are looking at infrastructure and food security, because those are two things that government is not joking about in its long term. They are looking at a situation where within the next 2 years, the prices of food would have been 50% of what they are today.
Okay.
And then the cost of movement would have been less than 50% of what it is today. And how they want to achieve this is by changing the mode of transport from fuel-powered vehicles or diesel-powered vehicles to CNG vehicles and electric vehicles, which are almost maintenance-free, and the cost of powering them is also minimal.
All right, we're looking at the supplementary budget, the breakdown and socioeconomic implications. We're going on a short break right now. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700-1021-1021. WhatsApp 0907-224-5018.
Put a touch of class and finesse on your brand by advertising with us at High Impact 1021 FM. For more information, call
0706 393 5694, 0915 958 1881, or 0902 745 3931.
Follow us on our social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM. Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course. Must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45-minute program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
Welcome back to On Record on High Impact 102.1 FM. We're still looking at Nigeria's supplementary budget, the breakdown, and the socio-economic implications with our guest, Ayo and Makiome. Now, sir, if you look at the economic diversification and investment, to what degree do the allocations support economic diversification, investment in non-oil sector, fostering resilience against fluctuations in global oil market, and of course, currency devaluation?
Okay. Sorry, you are saying that now. If I understand your question, you are saying that how does the supplementary budget reflect the economic diversity, right?
Yes, and of course, investment in non-oil sectors.
Okay, and investment in the non-oil sector.
Yes.
Remember, this budget is supplementary. It is not the budget. It is to make up for some gaps that have been seen in line with the 2023 budget and to address some emergencies. So it's not that it is set out to, as a budget. No, it is, you gave me 5,000 naira to go and buy rice. I go to the market, I bought rice, but there is now not enough money to bring the rice to where you are. Probably I bought it in Abuja and you are in Lagos. So you need to now issue a supplementary budget for transport, maybe 1,000 naira. So automatically, it is still in line with the fact that we are buying rice, which was the 2023 budget, the outlook of the 2023 budget. It had everything you are saying, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
There was need for job creation, there was need for diversification of the economy, and all those things. But in line with that, there are now some gaps that were seen by the new administration, and some emergencies are needed to be attended to. So that is what gave rise to the supplementary budget. So when we are addressing it, we need to look at it from that angle. Some of these questions are for the 2024 budget. That's where I'm going. So in line with that, is this supplementary budget far from the initial 2023 budget? No. Because it's addressing security, it's addressing agriculture. You get, which was what Buhari regime said they wanted to address in their 2023 budget. Because they feel that by the time they address agriculture, agriculture is supposed to be the highest job creation platform in the country presently. You get.
Yes.
So in line with that, the Tinubu administration comes in and looks at it and says that part of what when he addressed the nation was that they were going to farm, I think, is it 100,000 or 144,000 hectares of land for agriculture, which would also be towards one, food security, two, job creation. You get.
Yes.
And so when you look at the budget breakdown, you will see that there are areas where they are distributing seedlings, and they are also farming large hectares of land across the country, and they are also trying to restock our food reserve, which I remember was it on one of your programs. I said we don't even have one anymore, but they now want to restock that. And by having a food reserve means that we have more than enough food in the first place for there to be a reserve. And once there is more than enough food, then the pricing, which is the law of demand and supply, prices have to drop of food items. And the target is that based on these seedlings that they are now planting, is that in the next 12 to 24 months, we become a net exporter of many of these products that we are now allocating, getting supplementary budget to plant more of it.
Yes.
That is wheat, maize, rice, and cassava. Because that's what the supplementary budget is addressing, to increase the stock of these that we have and also use it to prepare. And then also, if you look at the budget, we had major flooding issues in the course of this year. And it's not that it was not planned for, but it was not properly planned for. So this budget is now addressing it such that we are now setting out flood prevention projects so that by next year we will not have this same kind of flood, and so it improves our food security and increases the amount, because that's one of the things, reducing the amount of food that will be available in the country for next year. So by reducing the incidence of the flood for next year, automatically there will be more food available, and we'll become a net exporter of this food. And that means the country is diversifying more away from relying more on oil as its export product, as its primary export product. There will be now increase in agricultural exports in this product.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's look at accountability and, of course, efficiency. Now, what mechanisms or measures can be put in place to ensure accountability and the efficient use of these allocated funds within the supplementary budget, especially in terms of course, achieving the intended goals and objectives?
As one of my mentors used to say, the oil flows from the top.
Yes.
So if you want to do anything to deal with the bottom, it has to start with you. You have to lead by example.
Yes.
Number one. Then number two, a major challenge we have in this country is we have good policy, but the challenge has always been implementation. If you look at it, everything is on ground already. We have our single account system. We have the different departments, government departments, being checks and balances for each other. So the issue now is the political will to call a spade and deal with it as it is. You take the bull by the horn. Anyone that falls out of line should be put in check, and anyone that refuses to be put in check should be shown the way out. If the government is ready to do that, everything is already on ground. The issue is who is in charge.
Yes.
It is who is in charge that will now decide that there will be accountability.
All right, thank you for that. Now let's go on to public perception and confidence. Now, considering the recent protests and, of course, public discontent over spending priorities, how might the impact of public confidence in government's economic management and influence affect the investment decisions?
How much of public spending? Sorry, the last part of your question.
Okay, how will the impact of public confidence in government economic management influence consumer behavior and investment decision?
In Nigeria, it's almost 100% because the economy is government driven.
Okay.
It's not like in more civilized societies where the economy is private sector driven. Nigerian economy is government driven. So based on that, that is why the interest is high on the budget, because it's the budget that tells where the government direction is. Because as I say, you follow the money. And so government spending decides on where the country is going. So all you have to do is look at it. And in this case, government seems to be walking their talk, which is they want to focus on agriculture. They are spending a lot on it. They want to focus on security. They are spending on it. They want to focus on infrastructure. They are spending on it. The question now is, will they actually release this money timely? Will these things be done, like you said, with proper responsibility and accountability?
Yes.
If the government does this, then the country is going to be good for it. Everything they want to do is stated in the budget. So the question now is, will they do it at the end of the day? Once that is done, the country is better for it. And the good of one is the good of all, as government spending goes and the government is.
All right. With this supplementary budget, let's just pick some things, some of the areas in which some amounts were allocated. I want to pick out the SUVs, which is about 2.9 billion naira for the sports utility. Okay, not that one. I beg your pardon. The 75 billion naira worth of vehicles that was allocated for the National Assembly. Now, the National Assembly, they've come out with various reasons to justify this amount, these SUVs. But do you think at this point where we are, where Nigeria is, the crisis Nigeria is facing, the economic crisis, do you think we can afford 75 billion naira at this point? We can cover 75 billion naira just to get lawmakers' vehicles. Is it, will I call it responsible? Is it needed? Is it prudent? Is it prudent spending?
Leadership is by example. Let's start from there.
Okay.
So if the senators and the government is saying we should cut our costs, we should tighten our waist, our belt, then we expect them to show by example. Why buying imported vehicles? We have, I think, last time I checked, up to 5 different companies that produce these vehicles locally. And so, if they wanted to even, let's leave out the spending part. That's what I'm going to.
Okay.
Let's look at responsibility. A responsible government would sit down and decide, yes, you see, you cannot remove the part of the senators need their official vehicles to carry out their official job.
Yes.
We can't remove that part.
Okay.
But the question now is, as a responsible government, where are you getting it? Now, there was a time we were asked, they said the local producers don't have the capacity to meet it up. I remember when the government had a need, that's the American government, sorry, not Nigerian government now, had a need for vehicles. They went to Ford Motors. Ford Motors. Ford said they didn't have the capacity to meet up to what the government was requiring.
Okay.
Did the government walk away and say, let's go to China to buy? No. What did they do? They said, Ford, what's the level of capacity you need? Who is it that will provide that capacity for you? We are going to fund that person. And so they provided local capacity for Ford to be able to meet up to the demand, which I expected our government to do. The local people said we can't meet up. Then ask them what do they need to meet up, and then you provide it and use that. Why? Because if the money stays in-house, that's 75 billion leaving this country. What 75 billion will do to those countries is a lot. What will do to this country is 5 times more than what it will do to those countries. And so the least I expected was for them to use that money to increase the capacity of this. Because by doing that, all the questions you asked would have been answered. There would have been job creation. Because these companies will hire more people to be able to meet up. If it's the infrastructure that is the issue, because the road in and out of where their factories are, it will still create more jobs and there will be capital. Power will be taken care of.
Yes.
So many things would have been taken care of by deciding to just get these vehicles in-house. So that's why I will not look at affordability or the fact of do they even need the vehicle. But what I will look at is where they are getting it from and the response. Is that a responsible decision?
Mr. Ayo Make, sorry, I have to cut you short. You mentioned something now. You mentioned power. Power was not included in this budget. Why do you think so? Why wasn't it included? Because power also is a critical sector in the Nigerian economy?
Yes, power is a critical sector, but it's not there because it was part of the initial budget.
Okay.
That's the 2023 budget.
Okay.
Power was already taken care of to a good extent. Why? The government is moving towards, if you remember well, each state can now produce their own power.
Okay.
So automatically, the federal government is indirectly handing off full. Initially, it was exclusive of to federal government. So they had to, they had to take care of it in the budget. But if now every state and local government and even private companies can produce power, why should federal government place it as priority anymore? It shouldn't be priority. Then for 2024 budget too, government has said that they are looking at increasing the number of private participation in power production.
Okay.
So if it's there too, that's why even in the 2024 budget, it is not a priority project because each state should worry about their citizens, or is it now, their indigents. Federal government worries about the citizens, the states worry about the indigents. If they know they want progress for their state, then it should be reflecting in their budget as a priority project, which is power. And then government is focusing now on renewable energy, which is what is part of their a good representation in their 2024 budget. So the CNG project, the transport project, the gas project, the solar project, all that, so that because they are capital intensive in the short run, but in the long run, they are cheaper than the current sources of power that we have. And so that is why in the supplementary budget, power is not a priority issue. It's infrastructure. Power is part of infrastructure, but it's no more a key infrastructure that the government should worry, federal government should worry about. That's why power is not here.
All right, thank you very much. Another area I'd like to look at is wage award and cash transfers. Now, wage awards, that's the additional 35,000 naira for workers. Yes. This is not inclusive of the private sector. It's not. It's basically for government workers. Now, also the cash transfer, also, which is also an amount that will be given to Nigerians for about 6 months. This doesn't necessarily take care of it doesn't cushion the effect of the fuel subsidy removal. It's just for a period. So what happens if, and we know that fuel price keeps going up, even the naira goes up, it comes down just a bit and it goes up again. So how would this cash transfer and wage, how would it solve this problem? If at the end, after 6 months, we're still facing the same problem?
Well, now, the wage award, one, is for two things. Number one, due to the fuel subsidy removal, they are now giving an increase of 35, as in their salary, of 35,000 in their salary. That's number one. Number two, the cash transfer is also done to minimize the effect of the increase in fuel.
Yes.
But now, government has set up infrastructure or systems such that between now and 6 months' time, the CNG system would have been in full effect and running.
Okay.
And so instead of paying at 700 or 1,000 naira per liter for fuel, you will now be using gas that comes to about 200 to 250 naira per liter. So it will be cheaper, number one. Number two, instead of the inflation being what it is now, by the time the agricultural projects have kicked off, the infrastructure projects have kicked off, the inflation, which is just the demand and supply, would have dropped.
Okay.
And so if it has dropped, cost of living would have come down. So if cost of living has come down, then their project is being slowly defined as a success. So that's why it is over just a period of 6 months, not for a longer time.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ayo Makiome, thank you very much for joining the discussion on record this morning. We hope to hear from you again.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. This is where we draw the curtains on today's program on record, where every word matters on High Impact 102.1 FM. Special thanks to my producer Arogundade Temitokwe and Elizabeth Aino. I'm Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you,